What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Sunday, June 30th. Saturday was a wild one out there, guys. Lots of weird upsets, lots of kind of crazy stuff happen. We did not have the best time out there ourselves. We had the Cardinals minus 165. We saw one of the worst starts of the season there from Sonny Gray, so pretty weak stuff there. They were not able to come through. The Brewers tried to make a furious ninth inning comeback there in their game, but ended up coming up short as well. The Pittsburgh-Atlanta no-run first inning, that was a crazy one, guys. We saw Kelenic, 8th home run of the year there for him in the first inning. So yeah, crazy stuff there. Not expecting him to hit a home run, especially against somebody like Skeens. So that was a tough loss. We did nail the Padres plus 128, put a win on the board there for sure. Right now, we still have the Seattle Mariners Minnesota Twins game going on. So maybe we can get the Mariners plus 100 to cash. But regardless, a 2-3 day is not what we're after. So let's hope we can get back at it here with a full Sunday slate, guys. Before we get into the games, do me a big favor and hit that like button. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description and go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking today and we'll give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Atlanta Braves. The Pirates come into this game, guys, fresh off of that 2-1 loss there in game 2 of this series. They've now lost 2 in a row, and 4 of their last 6 overall to fall to 39-43 on the season. They're handing the ball in this game to Bailey Falter, who's 3-6 this year with a 4.00 ERA. He's coming off of a pretty mediocre start there at Cincinnati. He looked good in his start at home against the Reds, but then went on the road and did not look nearly as good. We also see the Pirates are 0-5 over his last 5 starts, so that's not exactly super encouraging. And the Pirates bullpen, guys, maybe slightly encouraging, is up there around MLB average, but definitely not a bullpen you're looking to write home about. And the bats, guys, the bats have been a problem. They've scored 1, 6, 9, and 5 runs respectively over their last 5 games. In this series so far, they've scored 1 run in each of the first 2 games. Not exactly what you're looking for. Not a great offense, guys. We see Brian Reynolds leading the way with a 278 batting average and 13 home runs. That's great, but that has not kept this team out of the cellar, guys. They are 24th in runs scored, 26th in the majors, batting .228 as a team. They are 28th in the majors in slugging percentage. Just not a very good offensive team over the course of the season, and definitely not swinging hot bats coming into this game. Going to need to find some offense here against the Atlanta Braves, who have won 2-1 and 6-1 in this series so far. We saw Duvall hit that walk-off single in the 10th inning for the Braves to overcome a great start out there by Skeens. The Braves are 46-35 on the season, handing the ball in this one to Spencer Schwellenbach, who's 1-3 this year with a 5.40 ERA. He's coming off a pretty bad start there at the St. Louis Cardinals, where he went 5 innings, gave up 8 hits and 4 earned runs. His 2 starts before that were very reasonable. They had a good start at Baltimore, a great start at home against the Detroit Tigers, but yeah, we can't help but notice, guys, that the Braves are only 1-4 over his last 5 starts, so that's not great stuff. He's a young guy. We're not expecting miracles from him. Gonna have some consistency issues for sure, but this does feel like a chance for him to prove himself here going up against a very light-hitting Pirates team. And once he comes out of the game, guys, we don't have to be too worried about this Atlanta Braves bullpen. They're 5th in the majors with a 3.53 bullpen ERA, and they've been looking very good recently, so we can feel good about that. Maybe don't feel amazing about an offense that only scored 2 runs yesterday, but they've scored 8 runs combined over this series. So, not a disaster. They did get shut out at the White Sox. That was a super weird one. We're seeing Ozuna not hit the ball particularly well right now. Like, things just aren't pointed in the greatest direction for this team offensively. They are 15th in the majors in runs scored and 16th in the majors, batting .243 as a team. But yeah, over their last several games, not hitting the ball super well. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Pirates at plus 150. We see the Braves at minus 178. We've got an over-under of 9.5 in this game, which seems like a pretty big number to me. Atlanta is 25-13 at home. We see that both teams here are showing trends towards the under. Pittsburgh's 20-22 on the road. Obviously, the Pirates don't have the best bullpen or really the best starting pitcher that they're running out there in this one, but the Braves aren't hitting the ball particularly well. The Pirates aren't hitting the ball well at all. Guys, under 9.5 seems like a great play to me, given how these 2 teams have been trending this season and how good the unders have just been in the MLB overall. Go ahead and give me under 9.5 in this one. It's got a chance to end up in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, guys, we got the Miami Marlins going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. We saw the Marlins come through there with a 3-2 win there in Game 3 of this series. They've now won 2 out of 3 so far in this series. They're up to 30-53 on the year, so not exactly having a great time, but they're having a pretty good time here against the Phillies. They're handing the ball in this one to Gianni Chirinos. He is sporting a 2.70 ERA this season. He's about to make his third start of the year, and the first two have looked very, very reasonable. At home against the Cardinals back on the 19th, he only gave up 2 earned runs over 5 innings, and then he followed that up at the Royals with a solid 5-inning pitch outing with only a single earned run allowed and 3 hits surrendered. So both of his starts have looked very, very reasonable out there. Shocking to see him look so good here right out of the gate, but man, he's throwing the ball well. So we'll see what he can do going up against the Phillies here. The Marlins in general have not had a good bullpen though, so once he comes out of the game, which looks like it's going to be right there around the 5-inning mark, a lot of question marks about how that bullpen can hold up, although they've held up pretty well in general this series. So we'll see what we get out of them from this one. We'll also see what we get out of the Marlins bats. Not exactly a lethal offense, guys. I mean, they've scored 3, 0, 7, and 1 run respectively over their last 4 games. They've been alternating wins and losses, so that would kind of indicate they're due for a loss in this one. They're second to last in the majors in runs scored. They are also second to last in slugging percentage, guys, and they have managed to make their way down to absolute bottom of the barrel, 30th in the majors in on-base percentage, getting on base at a 280 mark. So not exactly an offense I'm super scared of, but maybe the Phillies aren't an offense we're scared of right now either, because they only scored 2 runs in game 3 of this series. They've scored 2, 4, and 6 runs respectively over their last 4 games. Obviously, having Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber be on the IL is not a good thing. This team is struggling a little bit up there at the plate. Just not a ton of production in this lineup with those 2 heavy hitters out of there. So they're going to have to try and find a way to make things work here with Ranger Suarez on the mound. He's been a monster all year, guys. He's 10-2 with a 2.01 ERA. Coming off of a pretty mediocre start by his standards there at the Tigers. He went 6 innings, gave up 8 hits, 4 runs, only 2 of them were earned. He struck out 4 and walked none. So, I mean, great not walking anybody, but man, not his sharpest outing. And he looked very good in his 2 starts before that at Baltimore and then at home against San Diego. So I think we find him in something of a bounce back spot here going up against the Marlins team that is not the best hitting team. No major shocker there. The Phillies bullpen is also very good. First in the majors with a 3.04 bullpen ERA. So not a lot of concerns there. Our real concern for this team is their offensive situation, their injury situation. They're going to have to find a way to manufacture some runs here with 2 of their best hitters out, and I'm not 100% sure if they're up to the task here. We'll have to see. I mean, they're 4th in the majors in runs scored and 3rd in the majors in team batting average over the course of the season, but man, with Harper out, that is a lot of production missing. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the odds makers don't really care too much about that. They've got the Marlins at plus 210, they've got the Phillies at minus 250. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. The Marlins are 13-26 on the road. The Phillies are 32-12 at home. All those numbers kind of go out of the window there for me, though, given the injury situation for the Phillies. If you wanted to back the Phillies here and kind of play that trend of the Marlins losing every other day, I wouldn't mind taking a minus 1.5. If you do, you can get them at minus 115. And honestly, with Ranger Suarez out there on the mound, it doesn't seem terrible to me. So go ahead and give me the Phillies minus 1.5 in this game. But guys, this is pretty much just a lean. I don't think we're going to be putting this in the pinned comment. I just don't trust the Phillies bats enough. And honestly, guys, Yanni Chirinos has been throwing the ball pretty well. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the San Diego Padres going on the road to take on the Boston Red Sox. The Padres have looked great in both of their 2 games this series at Boston. They won 9-2 and 11-1. They're actually riding a 5-game winning streak, and they've won 9 out of their last 10 games overall. Don't seem to be missing Tatis very much. I mean, Manny Machado just hit 2 home runs and drove in 5 runs here in this last game. They are just cruising along up to 46-41 on the year. They're handing the ball in this game to Matt Waldron, who's 5-6 this season with a 3.43 ERA. He's coming off of a 5th straight, very, very good start. He was against the Nationals his last time out. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 earned runs on 5 hits while striking out 8. He looked very, very good. He's been throwing the ball great lately. Absolutely no notes from me on him. He is looking fantastic. The Padres bullpen has also been kind of rounding into form here. They're still not amazing, sitting around 19th in the majors in bullpen ERA, but that is a number that is trending in a good direction. So a lot of things to feel good about here for the Padres, including their offense. I mean, they've scored 20 runs over the first 2 games of this series. They've scored 11, 9, 8, 9, and 7 runs respectively over their last 5. They are just swinging some of the hottest bats in the MLB right now. They're up to 5th in the majors in runs scored, 2nd in the majors in batting average. This team is just cruising along right now, hoping they can keep things rolling going up against the Red Sox, who've now lost 3 in a row. They're 43-39 on the season, handing the ball to Josh Winkowski. He comes into this game. He's going to be coming out of the bullpen pretty much. I mean, his last 3 appearances have all been out of the bullpen. He's looked pretty good in them. I mean, his last time out on the mound was back on the 25th. It was almost a start type of situation. It was long relief. He went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits and 2 earned runs to the Toronto Blue Jays. So in general, not too mad about how he's throwing the ball lately. We'll see what he's going to look like getting stretched out 2 games in a row. Going to be interesting to see. He's also taking on a very hot hitting opponent, so could be a little bit of a tall task for him. him. He's a relatively young guy, but he's shown good stuff out there on the mound this season, so we'll see what we get from him. We'll also see what we get from this Red Sox bullpen, which has been having a bit of a hard time lately. They're down to 8th in the majors with a 3.60 ERA. So, not exactly having the best time here against the Padres hitters, and this offense not hitting the ball super well over the last few games. They've scored 1, 2, and 4 runs respectively over their last 3. This is a pretty decent offense, definitely above average in the majors, but they've had their problems this season, and they've shown that they're susceptible to going into some little slumps. So maybe they're caught in some sort of slump here. Looking at the numbers, guys, we do see the Red Sox are favorite. They're at -112. We see the Padres at +100. We got over/under showing of 10 or 9.5 in this game. The Padres are up to 20-19 on the road. The Red Sox, not a great home team. They're below 500 at home this season. We see both teams showing trends towards the under. Am I interested in taking over 10 or over 9.5? Not really, guys, but I think there's a very good chance we're going to be running it back here with the Padres. They're just swinging the hottest bats almost in the game right now, possibly, and Matt Waldron on the mound has been very reliable. I think this is another good spot for the Padres to win yet another game here going up against the Red Sox. Fenway does not seem to be bothering those Padres hitters whatsoever. Next up, guys, we're looking at the New York Yankees going on the road to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. The Yankees took that loss there in Game 3 of this series, losing 9-3. They're down to 53-32 on the season. Seems like those injuries are kind of getting to them. They're going to be handing the ball in this one to Garrett Cole, who's 0-1 this year with a 9.00 ERA. He's going to be making his 3rd start of the season, and guys, it has not been all roses and sunshine. He looked fantastic there down in his rehab starts, dominating the minor leagues, but has not gotten off to a hot start in the majors. 4 innings in each of his first 2 starts, giving up 6 earned runs on 7 hits and 4 home runs at the New York Mets his last time out. Things are just not looking great. Doesn't seem like he's got his sharpest stuff. Obviously, he deserves some time to work back into form right now, but not the Garrett Cole that we've seen of old. And this Yankees bullpen also hasn't been looking great. They're down to 4th in the majors with a 3.49 bullpen ERA, and just haven't been getting guys out. Have not been looking good in general, and the bats definitely seem in a little bit of trouble, guys. We see Soto likely out for this game with a hand bruise. The X-rays were negative and all that jazz, so I don't think he'll be out for long, but man, things not looking good right now. Aaron Judge is having to really carry the load, but man, with Stanton out and Rizzo out, and now we're going to see Soto out, where is the offense going to come from this team? Not looking too hot right now, going up against the Toronto Blue Jays, who have won 2 out of their last 3 and 3 of their last 4 overall. They're handing the ball to Kevin Gausman, who is 6-6 this season with a 4.26 ERA, coming off of kind of a middle-of-the-road start at the Boston Red Sox. I mean, he went 6 innings, gave up 3 earned runs on 5 hits. He gave up 2 home runs in that game. He's given up 2 home runs in each of his last 2 games and 5 home runs over his last 3. Not looking dominant out there, but facing the Red Sox twice, especially while they were hot, and facing the Cleveland Guardians, maybe not the easiest road to go down right there. So in general, we're not super depressed about seeing him on the mound, but he's not somebody that you can pencil in for an elite start. However, the last time he went up against the Yankees was back on the 17th of April, so obviously a very long time, guys. We have to take this with a big pinch of salt, but he went 5 innings and gave him only a single earned run. So, maybe he has some decent stuff to go up against these Yankees hitters, and it's not like he's going up against the Yankees at full strength. We are worried about the Toronto bullpen, though, guys. Not very good. One of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball so far this season, so that is a major concern once we see, how deep Gausman can actually go into this game. But they're 26th in the majors in offense, in terms of runs produced, so that's not ideal. 21st in batting average, but they've been swinging some better bats lately. They've scored 9, 5, and 9 runs respectively over their 3 games in this series against the Yankees. So we can feel a little bit better. We just saw Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hit a 2-run home run, so maybe he's figuring some things out. We'll have to see. It's been kind of a rough way to go for him this season, and just in general for this entire Blue Jays team, it's been pretty rough. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we're seeing the Yankees as favorites again. We've got the Yankees -125, the Blue Jays +114. We've got an over/under of 8 in this game. The Yankees are 29-18 on the road. Toronto is now 20-20 at home. We see mixed trends towards the over/under, but guys, it's an over/under of 8. We've got 1.5 struggling pitchers out there. I know the Yankees offense is banged up, but an over/under of 8 seems a little bit suspect. I would definitely lean towards over 8, but I also definitely lean towards the Toronto Blue Jays +114. I think they've got a very good chance to win this game against a very banged up Yankees team that's really not running a great hitting lineup out there. So go ahead and give me the Blue Jays at home in this game. And honestly, guys, it's got a chance to end up in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Houston Astros going on the road to take on the New York Mets. The Astros come to this game fresh off of a Game 2 win there in their series against the Mets. They lost Game 1, but they won Game 2. They're 41-41 on the season, handing the ball in this one to Sean Dubin. He's coming out of the bullpen, guys. He's going to be making the start here. Looks like a bullpen type of game we're going to get from the Astros, which is a little bit concerning. I mean, Dubin's looked okay, I guess, he got lit up by Detroit back on the 15th, so not exactly a guy that I've got a ton of faith in, and don't really have a crazy amount of faith here in the Houston Astros bullpen, guys. I mean, they're 18th in the majors with a 4.07 ERA. That doesn't exactly scream ready to make a start, in figure this thing out through 9 innings type of situation. And the bats, while they did look good here in Game 2, looked bad in Game 1, showing that trademark Astros inconsistency at the plate. I mean, Altuve's hitting the ball well with a batting average of over 300. This team's still first in batting average, 8th in on-base percentage, 5th in slugging percentage, but 13th in the majors in runs scored. They just can't find a way, it doesn't feel like, to get runs across the plate. And seemingly they're going to have to score a lot of runs here, given that this is going to be a bullpen start type of situation for them. And they're taking on one of the hottest teams in baseball, the New York Mets, who are now 40-40 on the season after that 9-6 loss. They are handing the ball in this one to Luis Severino, who is 5-2 this year with a 3.29 ERA. He's coming off a very good start there, albeit at the Chicago Cubs, so not exactly an elite opponent, but he went 6 innings, shut them out, and gave up only 3 hits while striking out 10. So very, very dominant stuff. Didn't necessarily go super deep into the game or anything like that. And honestly, the last time he went super deep into a game, it was at Washington, and he backed it up with a very good start against the Marlins. So in general, we're feeling very, very good with Severino on the mound, and we're feeling better and better as time goes on here about this Mets bullpen. They're up to near MLB average with a 4.06 bullpen ERA, and they've been looking pretty decent lately. Obviously didn't look great yesterday, but we're going to give them a little bit of credit for coming back from being a pretty bad bullpen at some points this season. The offense definitely pointed in the right direction. Starling Marte is hitting the ball well. Pete Alonso is finding that power stroke again. I mean, he's batting nearly 250 with 17 home runs. They did score 6 runs in this loss, and they've scored 6, 7, 12, 9, and 5 runs respectively over their last few games. They're up to 11th in the majors in runs scored, 8th in the majors batting over 250 as a team. They're 6th in the majors on base percentage. Like, this is a team that's kind of putting everything together right now. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, the odds makers agree. We've got the Astros at plus 136, the Mets at minus 162. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Houston is only 14-22 on the road. The Mets are 21-22 at home. Guys, with Severino on the mound, we are feeling very, very good about the Mets here. Hopefully this isn't another one of those cursed situations where we're picking an ace to have a good outing and he has a terrible outing, but go ahead and give me the Mets minus 162 in this game. I'm not quite going to get greedy and take them minus 1.5. I think minus 162 is a reasonable enough price to me. I think the Mets are going to win this game the vast, vast majority of the time. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Washington Nationals going on the road to take on the Tampa Bay Rays. We saw the Nationals come through with the 8-1 win there in Game 2 of this series. They are 39-43 on the season, so, not exactly killing it, but not having the worst time out there. They did desperately need that win, though, to snap a 4-game skid. They're handing the ball in this one to Patrick Corbin, who hasn't had a good season, guys. He's 1-7 with a 5.46 ERA, but he's coming off a pretty serviceable start there at San Diego, where he went 7 innings, gave up 5 hits and 3 earned runs. So, not a complete disaster there, and his 2 starts before that were also very good. So we could honestly give the guy credit for 3 pretty decent starts in a row, and 4 out of his last 5 starts have definitely been respectable. He did get shelled by the Mets, but everybody's been getting shelled by the Mets lately, and overall this season, not a crazy amount of complaints for me about how he's looked. Definitely over his last 6 to 7 starts. Things are seeming to come together for him. He's rounding into form. He's a veteran left-hander, so he's got some stuff up there. Definitely has some stuff, and this Washington bullpen is rounding into form as well. They're up to MLB average, so not bad. 15th in the majors, and bullpen ERA is not a disaster. And man, when they're swinging the bats like they did yesterday, this team looks pretty freaking good. I mean, 8 runs scored yesterday. We saw Jake Irvin throw 6 solid innings. Everything looking like it's on a positive way right now. I mean, CJ Abrams hit a leadoff home run. Things are just looking up for this offense. They are 21st in the majors in runs scored and 22nd in batting average, so not bottom of the barrel numbers. Not an offense that we feel completely terrible about. They're taking on the Tampa Bay Rays, who come into this game fresh off of that loss. They've actually lost 2 of their last 3. They're 41-42 on the year, so not exactly having a season from heaven. They're handing the ball to Taj Bradley, who's 2-4 this year with a 3.81 ERA. He's coming off a pretty good start there against Seattle Mariners. It was against Seattle Mariners, not exactly a team you trust to score a ton of runs, but he went 5 1/3, gave up 2 hits and only a single earned run in a game we eventually saw Tampa Bay win 4-3. We do see that they are 3-0 over his last 3 starts with wins over Seattle, Minnesota, and the Cubs. So, he's been fine. He's given up 2, 7, and 3 hits respectively over his last few games. So we'll see what we actually get out of him in this one. Things have not really been a cakewalk in general for this this Tampa Bay bullpen, though, guys. Once their starters go out and the bullpen comes in, it's been a bit tough. They're one of the worst 5 bullpens in Major League Baseball and have pretty much been down there all season long. So don't give up on games where you're picking against the Tampa Bay Rays. They could always give it up there in the late innings. And the bats, obviously not looking super hot, guys. They scored 1, 3, and 2 runs respectively over their last 3 games. Not the hottest hitting team in the majors, 22nd overall in runs scored, 16th in on-base percentage, but very low power numbers, not great in team batting average, just not an offense that you're very afraid of. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, the odds makers think the opposite. They've got the Nationals at plus 150, the Rays at minus 178. They've got an over-under showing of 8 or 7.5 in this game. The Nationals are 21-24 on the road. Tampa Bay is only 22-24 at home, so no dominant trends there. Also, no overwhelming trends in regards to the over-under right now. I mean, an over-under of 7.5 seems a little bit, lean towards the over, but in general in this game, guys, I think the Nationals are pretty good value once again. Give me the Nationals plus 150. Will this end up in the pinned comment? I don't know if we have quite enough faith here in Patrick Corbin, but that is a nice underdog spot, a very good price on a game that I think could be a one-run game going either way. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the Chicago Cubs going on the road to take on the Milwaukee Brewers. We saw the Cubs take the 5-3 win there in game 2 of this series to even things up at 1 game apiece. They tried to mess it up there at the end, but they were able to get out of trouble there. We saw Happ hit that 2-run home run in the 8th inning that really kind of messed things up for us. The Cubs are hitting the ball in this game to Kyle Hendricks, who's 1-5 this season with a 6.87 ERA, but ever since coming off of the injury list there, guys, and getting a little bit of bullpen work in, he has looked much, much better. His last 2 starts, which are his first 2 starts since coming back from the IL, he's been very good. We saw him go back on the 19th. He went 5 2/3 innings, gave up only 2 hits and a single earned run against the San Francisco Giants. 8 strikeouts in that game, and he backed it up with an even better start against the Giants, albeit he got even less run support. But he went 7 innings, gave up 5 hits and 2 earned runs. So it seems like he's throwing the ball pretty well. Seems like he's back on track here. Definitely had his problems. Definitely needed that time on the IL, but it seems like he's ready to go now. And looking at the Cubs bullpen, guys, maybe not amazing things to report, but they are slightly above MLB average. They're not a disaster bullpen, and they did look pretty good. I mean, technically looked pretty good there in their last game, so we'll give them some credit. Offensively, this team's not swinging the hottest bats. I mean, they've scored 5, 2, and 5 runs respectively over their last 3 games. Not exactly an offense that you're scared of, though. They're below average in runs scored. They're 15th in the majors in on-base percentage. They're only batting .229 as a team. That's pretty lackluster. They're also not a very good power team, so big question marks about this offense, and they're taking on a Milwaukee Brewers team that's supposed to be able to score a lot of runs, but yeah, some weird stuff happening there at the Brewers ballpark, guys. I mean, we saw 11 injured. At least nobody was killed there in that crazy escalator problem, so hopefully they got that straightened out and it's not going to be a weird shadow over this game. But we see the Brewers at 49-34 in the year, handing the ball to Freddie Peralta, who's 5-4 this season with a 4.03 ERA. He's coming off a pretty good start there against the Rangers, where he went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits and 2 earned runs. That's 2 very good starts in a row for him, bouncing back after a rough outing against the Cincinnati Reds. So he's not exactly taking on a super tough hitting opponent. The last time he faced the Cubs, he was dominant. The second to last time he faced the Cubs, he was very good. So this is his 3rd start of the season against the Cubs, and he has to feel good facing that team. The Brewers bullpen, honestly, not looking terrible, guys. 9th in the majors with a 3.73 bullpen ERA. Not the best bullpen in the majors, guys, but also not a complete disaster. So give them some credit there. The bats haven't been looking crazy hot for this squad. I mean, 3, 4, 6, 3, and 6 runs respectively over their last few games is not a disaster, but it's not exactly like destroying the ball. They're 7th in the majors in runs scored, 6th in the majors, batting .254 as a team, 4th in the majors in on-base percentage. Like, this is a pretty good hitting squad overall, so can expect some decent things from them. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, the odds makers are expecting big things from the Brewers and Peralta. We're looking at the Cubs at plus 150, the Brewers at minus 172. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. The Cubs are only 16-27 on the road. The Brewers are 26-12 at home, a very good home team. We see mixed trends towards the over-under, so we're not too interested in that over-under of 8. But guys, I'm definitely leaning towards the Brewers minus 172. I do like what we're seeing from Kyle Hendricks, but I like even more what we're seeing from Peralta right now, and his history this season against the Cubs is excellent. So give me the Brewers minus 172 in this game. Will this end up in the pinned comment? It's kind of an expensive price. We'll have to check back and see, but it has a definite chance. I like a lot what we're seeing from Peralta. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Cleveland Guardians going on the road to take on the Kansas City Royals. The Guardians come into this game fresh off of a Game 3 win there. They won 7-2 to get this series to 2-1 in favor of the Royals. The Guardians are 52-29 in the season, handing the ball to Logan Allen. He's 8-3 this year with a 5.72 ERA, coming off of a pretty bad start there against the Baltimore Orioles in a game we did see the Guardians come through for him, but man, he went 3 innings, gave up 9 hits and 6 earned runs, and in general hasn't been looking amazing lately. I mean, just not a pitcher you can count on for shutdown stuff. He does kind of keep his team in the game, but he depends on a lot of run support, and he can also put the bullpen through a lot of strain. They are looking pretty good recently with a 3.58 bullpen ERA, which has them 7th in the majors. The bats for this team haven't looked the hottest. I mean, they're obviously coming off a game where they scored 7 runs, but they've scored 7, 3, 1, and 2 runs respectively over their last 4 games. So they depend a lot on Jose Ramirez. He had his 23rd home run of the year. He's looking good. Josh Naylor added 2 RBIs. So yeah, they got the win there. Good for them, but do they have the legs to continue and put up a bunch of wins in a row? I mean, this has been a very good team. They're going to need to continue being good, taking on the Kansas City Royals, who seem like they're getting back on track despite coming off of that loss there. They're 46-39 on the year, handing the ball to Seth Lugo in this game, who's been lights out this year, guys. He's 10-2 with a 2.29 ERA, coming off a dominant start there against the Marlins. I know it's just against the Marlins, but he looked very good. He hasn't given up more than 2 earned runs over any of his last 3 starts. It seems like he is very much on track right now, and the Royals bullpen, while they maybe didn't have a great day yesterday, is 10th in the majors with a 3.75 bullpen ERA, so not drastically worse than the Cleveland bullpen, so not a ton of concerns for me about this pen, but maybe not one that I have the most confidence in. I also don't have the most confidence in the Royals hitters. However, they've been looking pretty good in general. I mean, they've scored 2, 10, 2, and 5 runs respectively over their last 4, and I mean, over the course of the season, they've been pretty decent, but they're not putting up the kind of numbers like they did, I would say like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, where they were really just killing the ball. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Guardians at plus 116, the Royals at minus 130. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Cleveland is 25-20 on the road, pretty respectable stuff there. The Royals are 29-15 at home, been a very good home team all season long, pretty much. We are a little bit concerned looking back at Seth Lugo's start against Cleveland back on the 4th of this month, where he went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits and 5 earned runs in a game that the Royals lost 8-5. Can we expect him to bounce back a little bit here pitching at home? Absolutely, though, so we're not too worried about that. I mean, looking at these numbers, guys, the Royals minus 130 playing at home and in a bounce back spot after losing yesterday, I think I lean towards the Royals a decent amount. I mean, Logan Allen is not really a starter that I'm super afraid of, so give me Kansas City as a small lean in this one, but I don't think this is going in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Colorado Rockies going on the road to take on the Chicago White Sox. The Rockies coming to this game fresh off an 11-3 loss to the White Sox, guys. Crazy stuff there. We saw Paul DeJong hit a home run in that game. Yeah, 11 runs for the White Sox. Pretty crazy stuff. The Rockies having a terrible time. They've lost 5 in a row. Kind of in a free fall right now. They're handing the ball to Kyle Freeland, who's 0-3 this season with a 9.55 ERA, coming off of a pretty good start, honestly, back on the 23rd against the Nationals. He went 6 innings, gave up 1 hit and no earned runs. Yeah, very, very good stuff from him in that game in general. So we'll see if he can back it up with another good start. It'll be interesting to see how he does. Not super high on the Rockies bullpen for all the obvious reasons. They're one of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball, and this offense is really struggling right now, guys. 3, 3, 1, and 2 runs respectively over their last few games. Not hitting the ball well, not seeing the ball well. No positives to report for the Rockies offense, and they're taking on the Chicago White Sox, who are on a 3-game winning streak, looking just great out there all of a sudden. Only 24-61 on the year, though, so, not a great team, but showing some promise. Any White Sox fan can be proud of how this team has played, at least over the last 3 games. They're handing the ball to Garrett Crochet, who's 6-6 this year with a 3.05 ERA, coming off a dazzling start there against the Dodgers, where he went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 5 hits, and struck out 6, while shutting out the Dodgers over his last 5 starts. He's looked very good in all of them, maybe a little bit of a hiccup there against the Astros, but overall, he's doing everything that could possibly be expected of him, pitching for a pretty terrible team. I know they're monitoring his workload and stuff like that, as they should be. Obviously, this is a wasted season for them, and you don't want to wear out a guy like this's arm. The White Sox bullpen has been showing some trends of life. I mean, they're down to a 4.65 ERA, which is better than we've seen them at earlier this year, but not a bullpen that we're super high on. The bats have come alive, guys. 11-5 and 1 run respectively over their last 3 games. Absolutely an offensive heater, given how bad this offense has been in general this season. We're still seeing them in pretty much dead last in every major statistical category, so not really going to super overreact, but feeling good about them right now. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the White Sox at minus 170 Crazy to see that big of a number there with a minus sign in front of it for the White Sox. The Rockies are plus 154. We see an over-under of 7.5 in this game. Guys, in general, I think this is a pretty good no-run first inning spot. Obviously, Crochet is a monster. The White Sox not the best hitters, and we saw Kyle Freeland look very good in his last outing. So go ahead and give me no-run first inning in this game. Other than that, I don't have a ton of interest. Obviously, a bad price there on the White Sox. I have no faith in the Rockies to score any runs in this game, though. So maybe you can take a look at that under 7.5 as well. But for me, this is a no-run first inning spot. Moving right along here, guys, we've got the Cincinnati Reds going on the road to take on the St. Louis Cardinals. The Reds come into this game fresh off of a 9-4 win there in Game 3 of this series. They're now up 2-1 in this series, and their only loss was a game where they got shut out. They're 39-44 on the year, handing the ball to Hunter Green, who's 5-3 this season with a 3.79 ERA, coming off of one of his worst starts recently. He only lasted 4 innings, gave 7 hits and 6 earned runs to the Pirates. It was his second straight start, 2 starts in a row against the Pirates. Seems like they maybe figured something out, because in start 1 he was absolutely dominant, and start 2 he absolutely got shelled. So a little bit of a concern there, don't get me wrong. He hasn't faced the Cardinals yet this season, so it's his first time going up against them. It'll be interesting to see what he does. It'll also be interesting to see if this Reds bullpen can continue what they've been cooking lately. They're up to 12th in the majors with a 3.89 bullpen ERA, so very respectable there. This offense, obviously coming off of a 9-run game, they've scored 20 runs over 3 games this series. They got shut out once. They scored 9, 0, and 11 runs respectively over their last few. So hitting the ball well. Elly De La Cruz just stole his 40th base of the season. Things are definitely looking up for this team at the plate, and they're taking on a Cardinals team that's having some trouble now. I mean, they're 42-40 on the season. Seems like they're probably the second best team there in the NL Central, but we'll have to see. Still a lot of season left to go. We really got let down there by Sonny Gray yesterday. He did not have his best outing. Unfortunate stuff there. The Cardinals are handing the ball in this one to Lance Lynn, who's 3-3 this season with a 3.86 ERA. He's coming off a very good start there against the Atlanta Braves, where he went 6 2/3 innings, gave up 4 hits and only a single run. So definitely some positive stuff there. The last time he faced the Reds was back on the 27th of last month. He went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, 3 runs. Only one of them was earned. He walked 3 and struck out 5. Not a great start there on the road. I mean, pitching at home probably feels a little bit better for him. Definitely better than pitching there in the Great American Ballpark. We'll have to see what this Cardinals bullpen can do. They've also been trending in a positive direction. A 3.94 bullpen ERA is nothing terrible. The Cardinals bats have been a little bit questionable lately. They've scored 4, 1, and 4 runs respectively in this series so far. Yeah, just not a ton of positives to report for this group. I mean, Brendan Donovan's doing what he can. Mason Wynn's out there batting .282. Like, Nolan Gorman does have 16 home runs, but he's batting under 200. Like, yeah, Arenado and Goldschmidt's not showing up for this team in general this season has been a big problem. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Reds at -115, the Cardinals at -102. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. Yeah, I mean, the Cardinals are a decent home team at 22-18, but yeah, I'm not going to put a ton of stock in that. We see both teams showing trends towards the under, and I think this might be a sneaky good no-run first inning game, but in general in this game, guys, I'm leaning towards the Reds -115 to get the job done in this game. I don't have a ton of faith in Lance Lynn. He didn't look great the last time he faced the Reds, and I think Hunter Green's a very good pitcher. I expect him to bounce back in this game and have a better outing than he did in his second straight start against the Pirates. So give me the Reds -115 in this game. It's got a chance to make it into the pinned comment. Next on the docket, we're looking at the LA Dodgers going on the road to take on the San Francisco Giants. The Dodgers come into this game fresh off of a 14-7 win there in Game 2 of that series. They're 52-32 on the year, handing the ball to James Paxton, who's 7-1 this season with a 3.93 ERA. He's coming off of a great start there at the White Sox, where he shut them out over 5 innings, giving up 3 hits. So he looked very good there. He's looked great in his last 3 starts in a row. No major negatives to report here for him. He's looked very, very good. And he's looked good this season in general. He actually opened his year back there on the 1st of April with a start against the Giants where he went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits and no runs in a game that he walked 5. So obviously that's a super infinite long time ago. Doesn't matter a ton, but worth mentioning, I suppose. The Dodgers bullpen, as you all know, has been very, very good this season. No major shocks there. And the offense came alive for 14 runs their last time out. They scored 14, 3, and 4 runs respectively over their last 3 games. Obviously, they're missing Mookie Betts. They're a little bit banged up right now, but this is still an offense that can produce some runs. They're 3rd in the majors in runs scored, 5th in the majors in batting average. Not a ton of questions for me here about the Dodgers. Some definite questions for me about the Giants and who they're going to start for this game, because that is still unconfirmed as of recording of this video. Yeah, it's going to make a big difference who they put out there on the mound, guys. If this is a bullpen start situation for the Giants, we definitely have some concerns because this has been not a very good bullpen, guys. 23rd in the majors with a 4.43 bullpen ERA. Doesn't exactly scream we can put together 9 solid innings. So a bit worried about that for them for sure, and a little bit worried about the bats, guys. I mean, they did score 7 runs. They've scored 7, 5, and 3 runs respectively over their last 3. Is this an offense that can carry a bullpen start, though, especially going up against someone like James Paxton, seems a bit questionable to me. They're pretty middle of the road, 14th in runs scored, 15th in batting average. Not swinging necessarily the hottest or the coldest bats. So, yeah, definitely some questions from me about this offense. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, I'm a little bit surprised to see them out without a confirmed starter for the Giants right now. And I do expect these to probably change because this seems very, very odd. But we've got the Dodgers at -132, the Giants at +112. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. The Dodgers are a very good road team at 25-16 on the road. The Giants are good at home. 24-18 at home isn't terrible. But, guys, if the number stays anything close to this, we're definitely taking the Dodgers -132. It seems like a slam dunk spot to me. I mean, I don't think they're going to win this game 100% of the time, but I think they're going to win this the vast majority of the time, especially if this ends up being a bullpen type of start there for the Giants. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Detroit Tigers going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Angels. We've got the Tigers coming into this game. Well, these two teams are actually playing right now with the Tigers up 3-2 there in the middle of the 5th inning. The Tigers haven't been having a great time, though. They'd lost the first 2 games of this series, so, trying to get things figured out now. 37-45 in the year, not great. Hitting the ball to Casey Mize in this game. He's 1-6 this season with a 4.54 ERA coming off of a pretty bad start against the Phillies. He gave up 9 hits over 4 1/3, gave up 4 runs. 3 of them are earned. He did strike out 10 in that game, so give him some credit. But yeah, a game that his team lost 8-1, not a great look. We also see that the Tigers are only 2-3 over his last 5 starts, so got some questions about how Mize is throwing the ball right now. The Tigers bullpen, generally speaking, guys, hasn't been terrible necessarily. I mean, they're sitting at around 11th in the majors with a 3.88 bullpen ERA, but that's not, super high above average, so give them a little bit of credit, but not too much. They're taking on an Angels team that's been playing well lately. We'll see if they can, navigate their way through this current game that they're in. They're only down by 1, so we'll see what happens. We're getting some positive news about Trout. He's confident he'll return by the end of July, so they're going to get a boost when he comes back. Will it really matter, though? I kind of tend to doubt it. The Angels are handing the ball in this one to Tyler Anderson, who's been fantastic this season. He's 7-7 with a 2.63 ERA, coming off of a decent, maybe not elite, maybe not up to his normal standard start there against the Oakland A's. A game that we saw the Angels win 7-5. He gave up 3 earned runs on 5 hits over 5 innings. He also walked 5 in that start, so definitely some control issues, but overall, this is definitely a guy that we can feel pretty good about out there on the mound. So good things to say about Tyler Anderson. Not really a lot of great things to say about the Angels bullpen, except for that they're trending in a positive direction, so we'll give them that, but still a bottom third bullpen in the majors, absolutely for sure. The Angels bats have looked better lately. I mean, they scored 5, 5, 5, and 7 runs respectively over their last few games. They've only scored 2 in their current game. It's only the bottom of the 5th. We'll see what they do over the course of the rest of this game. In general, guys, looking at the numbers for this one, we see the Tigers at -110. We see the Angels at -104. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Guys, I'm leaning towards the Angels in this one. Not a whole lot of faith for me in Casey Mize. A decent amount of faith for me here in the Angels, despite the fact they're only 17-25 at home. They've been playing much better lately. Even if they do lose their current game, I think there's a good chance they could bounce back and get another win. Maybe it's even better if they lose this game because then they're not going for the sweep. So go ahead and give me the Angels -104 in this one. I like this a weirdly good amount, especially since it's just the Angels. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, we're looking at the Minnesota Twins going on the road to take on the Seattle Mariners. The Twins come into this game, well, they're currently playing right now in the bottom of the 4th with the Twins up 2-1. Trying to get this this video out to you guys early since there's all early games pretty much, except for Sunday Night Baseball on Sunday. So doing what we can here. They're currently playing right now. We're going to go ahead and look at what's going to be game 3 of this series. The Twins are handing the ball in this one to Joe Ryan. He's 5-5 with a 3.31 ERA coming off of a kind of questionable start there at the Diamondbacks where he went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits and 4 earned runs in a game that we saw the Twins eventually lose 5-4. The Twins are actually only 1-4 over his last 5 starts, which a little bit questionable there. Not exactly what you would expect to see from a guy that's, had fairly solid stuff over the course of the season. Part of the problem for the Twins this year has been their bullpen. Definitely bottom third in the majors with a 4.15 bullpen ERA, so that's not great. And the offense has been kind of all over the place recently. It's not like they're scoring a ton of runs in their current game, at least so far. Yeah, I mean, they've put up good power numbers and stuff like that. They are 8th in the majors in runs scored, so give them some credit, but man, a lot of those numbers came from piling up a lot of runs against some pretty bad teams. They're taking on the Seattle Mariners, who come into this game 47-37 on the year. If they can manage to win their current game, they'll be on a 3-game winning streak. They're handing the ball in this one to Luis Castillo. He's 6-9 this year with a 3.79 ERA. He's coming off a kind of middling start there at Tampa Bay. He went 5 innings, gave up 5 hits and 4 earned runs. We all know that Seattle's been a much better home team than than road teams, so I would assume getting back to playing at home will definitely be helpful for him. We'll just kind of have to see how it goes. The last time he faced the Twins, it was back on the 6th of last month. He went 6 2/3 innings, gave up 2 hits and 2 earned runs in that one while striking out 7. So not a bad start for him. Some good history there for him against the Twins. So I think we can feel decent about that. How do we feel about the Seattle bullpen? I mean, like the rest of their pitching staff, pretty solid guys. They're up to 6th in the majors with a 3.55 bullpen ERA, and the offense has really been where the problems lie for this group. Not a great offense, but they've scored some runs here in this series. Hopefully they can make something happen late here against that Twins bullpen. They're 24th in the majors in runs scored. They're only batting .218 as a team, so not exactly an offense that I have a ton of faith in, but with a bullpen and a starting pitching staff as good as theirs is this season, they're going to win some games, guys. There's no way around it. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Twins at -168. We see the Mariners at +142. Both of those seems a little suspect there. I'm not sure why the Twins are such huge favorites in this game. I mean, it is going to be Ryan's first time facing the Mariners this season, which that probably helps him a little bit. But in general, guys, I'm definitely leaning towards the Mariners +142 in this game. I also think this is a very, very reasonable no-run first inning spot. But go ahead and give me the Mariners +142 in this game. It's got a decent chance to end up in the pinned comment. I think they're going to have a good chance here behind Castillo, who could have something of a bounce back here against a Twins team that's not exactly swinging the hottest bats, and against a team that he's already done well against once this season. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Oakland A's going on the road to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. The A's come into this game fresh off of a 3-0 loss. They've gone 1-1 so far in the season, which is great for them at only 30-55 on the year. They're hitting the ball to Luis Medina, who's 1-3 this season with a 5.25 ERA, coming off of a pretty weak start there at the Angels. He only lasted 3 innings, gave up 5 hits and 4 earned runs. Yeah, not exactly a pitcher that we're super high on. Also not super high on that Oakland A's bullpen, which is 22nd in the majors with a 4.41 bullpen ERA. This offense has scored 0, 9, 2, and 5 runs respectively over their last few games. They're 28th in the majors in runs scored, 28th in the majors in team batting average, 27th in on-base percentage. Pretty bad offensive team, no way around it. They're going to have to score some runs here going up against the Diamondbacks, who broke out of a little 3-game losing streak there with that 3-0 win. Not exactly an offensive outburst, though, from a team that depends a lot on their offense. They're handing the ball in this one to Brandon Pfaadt, who's 3-6 this year with a 4.45 ERA, coming off of a middle-of-the-road start there against the Twins, where he gave up 4 earned runs on 5 hits over 6 1/3 innings. He gave up 2 home runs in that game. Are you going to be giving up 2 home runs to a team like the Twins, though? Seems a little bit unlikely. I mean, A's not exactly the hardest hitting team. Think I like Brandon Pfaadt a little bit in this spot. How much do I like this Diamondbacks bullpen, though, guys? Obviously, not very much. That's a big concern. Are they going to score some runs in this game? Well, I think Medina is definitely gettable, and this offense has been good at times this season. They're 9th in the majors in runs scored and 10th in batting average. So I'm expecting some pretty decent things here from the Arizona Diamondbacks offense. Look at the numbers for this game. We see the A's at +165, the Diamondbacks at -196. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. That seems a little bit low to me. So in general, guys, I'm leaning towards the Diamondbacks to get the win in this game. Obviously, that's not a very attractive price. I'm also leaning slightly towards the over, but in general, guys, this is just not a game that I have very much interest in. Last but not least, guys, we got the Texas Rangers going on the road to take on the Baltimore Orioles on Sunday Night Baseball. The Rangers come into this game fresh off of a very tough 6-5 loss there in Game 3 of this series. We saw Seager exit the game after getting hit in the wrist with a pitch, so I think it's very unlikely that we're going to see him play in this game. The Rangers are 37-46 on the year, handing the ball to Andrew Heaney, who's 2-9 this season with a 4.17 ERA. He is coming off a pretty serviceable start there at the Brewers. He went 5 innings, gave up 6 hits and 2 earned runs. He did give up a home run in that game, so that's not great. In general, over his last 5 starts, he hasn't given up more than 3 earned runs to any team. So, I mean, for him, that's pretty good numbers. In general, is that like something amazing, something we're a fan, like super get a fanboy about? No, obviously not, but he's showing improvement over the course of the season. The Rangers bullpen, on the other hand, guys, holding pretty steady there at around 20th in the majors with a 4.11 bullpen ERA, so nothing to write home about there. The offense, not swinging the hottest bats, guys. They've scored 5, 1, 2, and 5 runs, respectively, over their last few, and definitely losing Seager is not going to help that situation at all. They're going to have to score some runs going up against an Orioles team that's now won 4 in a row. They're handing the ball to Cole Irvin, who's 6-4 this year with a 3.74 ERA. The guy is coming off, I don't know, honestly, like 3 bad starts in a row, guys. Against Atlanta back on the 13th, he gave up 9 hits over 5 2/3. Then on the 20th at the Yankees, he got shelled for 5 runs over 4 2/3 innings. It was a game we saw Baltimore win in that crazy 17-run explosion, but not a good start from Irvin for sure. And then on the 25th, his last time out, it was against the Cleveland Guardians. He gave up 10 hits, 8 runs, 4 of them were earned in only 4 innings of work. So Not super stoked with what we're seeing from Cole Irvin right now. Not stoked at all. And while the Orioles bullpen has remained relatively steady, they're down to third in the majors with a 3.34 bullpen ERA. And the bats, obviously the bats are looking fine, guys. 6-2, 11, and 4 runs respectively over their last 4. Nothing to turn your nose up at. I mean, this team has gone through some small slumps, I guess, maybe this season. But regardless, overall, this is a very good offensive team. First in the majors in runs scored and first in the majors in slugging percentage. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Orioles at -150. The Rangers at +136. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. Baltimore's a very good home team, 28-16 at home. The Rangers are now banged up. They're handing the ball to a starter that I can't really depend on. Not that we can really depend too much on Irvin in this game. In general, guys, I'm taking the Orioles -150. Is this going in the pin comment? Absolutely not until I see Cole Irvin actually get back on track. If you wanted to like live bet this, if you see him look good in the first inning, maybe then you could slam it on the Orioles or something like that, on the idea that he's going to that he's figured something out. But right now, he just has not been reliable enough for me to trust him. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out StumpTheSpread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.